Hi there. Today I'd like to talk about some video game soundtracks that I have. Most of these will be available for offer soon. I just want to show you the two that I have to keep because they're my favorite. The North American soundtrack to Final Fantasy VI, which is called Kefka's Domain. And it is a 4-disc compilation. And this side has the little disc there. Oh, it's 3 discs, sorry. I keep forgetting about that. And this is one of my all-time favorite soundtracks. There's all the tracks. Squaresoft, back when it was called Squaresoft. Back when games were good. No, I'm just kidding. Mog on the cover. Always liked that part. So this is the 1994 NTT Publishing Company version. There's Japanese versions as well for Final Fantasy VI, of course. My next one is Secret of Mana 2, or Seiken Densetsu 2, because this would be Secret of Mana here in the States. There wasn't a North American release of the soundtrack. And there's the back cover. Have to have this game soundtrack because this is one of my favorite games, along with one of my favorite game soundtracks. With Secret of Mana, you seem to either love it or hate it. If I've found, I love it, but not everyone loves that one. All right, so let's start over here. Super Mario Galaxy soundtrack. This is the ×2 Platinum version that has all the songs. There was another one that didn't have all the songs. I think that might have been only 1 disc as well. Excellent soundtrack, of course. There's also a Super Mario Galaxy 2 version. This one's extremely rare. Donkey Kong Country Trilogy soundtrack. This was only available through the Super Power Supplies catalog, copyright 1996. Each of these soundtracks came out individually in the catalog, and then they bundled it in this version. The two really rare ones are the second and third games. But the third one was only available for, I think, 1 catalog, whereas the first one was available for quite a while. I hesitated when I was a kid to get all the soundtracks. I really wanted them, but I could not afford them back then. So towards the end of the catalog, they bundled all 3, and I got this one. This is actually more rare than having the 3 separately, because it's so... it was such a limited release. So there's your thing. It's just a cardboard sleeve, and the discs just kind of sit in there. So for preservation, it's kind of rough, but whatever. This is the Mario Party 3 soundtrack, and they spent all their budget on the cover art here. This is a 2-disc compilation, I believe. Yes. And not my favorite music, but it was something I was collecting at the time. Game Boy Gallery. So these are the Game & Watch galleries. They have, I believe this is only of the first game. It's a 2-disc set. The first disc is the original music, and the second disc is an arranged version. And the booklet, I love the art on this. That was from the game, but the back is great. And they have, oh, that's funny. This is a overlay for your Game Boy that has Peach and Yoshi and Luigi and Bowser playing games, and it has the names of the Game & Watches that you can play in the game. There's some more art for you. It opens it up. These are the art pieces that are along that border of this little Game Boy border right there. That's pretty cool. I hadn't even opened that book before. Super Mario Compact Disco. This soundtrack is hilarious. You can see on there Mario is a DJ. And you know what? You just have to experience it for yourself. This is one of the weirdest soundtracks of all time. Along with this one, the Super Mario Land soundtrack. What these both are, there's a DJ called Ambassadors of Funk, or DJs, I'm not really sure. It would imply that there's more than one. And this is actually an English version. You can see the track listing is in English. This one as well. And what these are is he took the music from the games and remixed them. And the remixes aren't bad, but they're a little crazy. So you have to check those out on your own. Next I have a sealed Very Best of Kirby. There's 52 hit tracks from all of his games. There's another version of this that goes for crazy amounts of money. It's a red cover, and I think it's like all the music, but I couldn't confirm because I was never able to buy it because it's just too expensive. It was a very limited release. I think it was even a prize release in Japan. Got the Donkey Kong 64 soundtrack that was released. This is the English version. And I forget if this was available in the catalog. I'm not sure that the catalog, well, I guess the catalog survived that long. Here's another one, the Banana Bunch. This was for promotional use only, you can see on the thing. And Smashing Dance Floor remixes and a Donkey Kong screensaver for Windows 95 or Windows 98. Sweet. Here's one people like, Killer Cuts. This is the Killer Instinct soundtrack. And this, I believe, was included with some of the games. Good soundtrack. Here's another rare one from Nintendo Power, the Play It Loud soundtrack. This has Yoshi's Island, F-Zero, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Winning Run for whatever reason, Legend of Zelda, Super Metroid, and Star Fox tracks. Back in the day, this was like the only way to get Star Fox music, or any of this music for that matter. So this one got played quite a bit. I made my own track listing on the inside. There you go. Volume 1. And man, I remember waiting for Volume 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would have been great, but it didn't sell very well. Here's the Smashing soundtrack that was a bonus. We all know what that is, right? The Donkey Konga soundtrack has 7 soundtracks, or 7 tracks, and just encompass the original songs that are available in the game. Most of the other songs are licensed songs, so they wouldn't need to put a soundtrack out for that necessarily, but these are the ones that were made just for the game. The Legend of Zelda one's great, and the Melee theme. There's even the DK rap song in this one, so it's fun. Metroid Prime and Fusion soundtrack. You can see Fusion on the back. And this is a 2-disc set. And see, if you open it like this, then it's flipped around. That's pretty cute. Alright, moving on. So this is like the Japanese version of the Play It Loud soundtrack. This has Pilot Wings, SimCity, F-Zero, Super Mario World, and Link to the Past on it. You can see. And it's laid out a lot like the Play It Loud soundtrack, which is probably how they got the idea for it. There's a lot of English on this one, but it was a Japanese release. And man, look at that cover art. That's pretty gorgeous. With gold inlay. Dr. Spin released a remixed Tetris album. Who doesn't like Tetris music? This is kind of an essential to me. Anyone who doesn't have Mega Man music in their soundtrack collection is missing part of their soundtrack collection if they listen to video game music. This is Rockman 1 through 6. This was available for the 15th anniversary of Mega Man. And it's 3 discs, and I've never opened it. But yeah, I have the music. Video game music is pretty easy to get for free in several different areas. But I support buying it when I can, but most of it's digital these days. Alright, let's look at what else we have. I have this little Crash Bandicoot 98.99, and supposedly this is a soundtrack. It has a track listing on the back, but I have no idea what media it is. If it's a mini disc or like a flash drive or something. It says SCSC zips. Excuse me. I'm not sure what that is, but it's not for resale. It's a promotional item. And it's got the Japanese version of Crash Bandicoot on there. And it is sealed. Here's the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time original soundtrack. And a lot of people have that one. Along with the Majora's Mask official soundtrack. This one is a not for resale promotional Club Nintendo version. That one's sealed. And this one is Hyrule Symphony. It remixes the songs of Ocarina of Time, obviously. And this is the original soundtrack to Majora's Mask. This has all the tracks on 2 discs. This was a very odd soundtrack, wasn't it? I mean, just in general, it's kind of an odd game, but it was great. All of it was great. Different is good. There's the Wind Waker soundtrack. This one is a must. I loved this game. I hope more people play this game or give it a shot. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like the Toon Link, but this game had more to do with the Legend of Zelda, the actual legend, than a lot of the other games. Mother 1+2. This is a sound selection from the first 2 games. And this is the original sound. It's not remixes, I don't think. No, this is remixes. And some original bits. So we have Mr. Saturn in there. Da, 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 da. And then I have the Mother 2 soundtrack. And this only has 24 tracks. There's some remixes and some original sound. Would have liked to have a full soundtrack for Earthbound, but that's okay. You can get it pretty easily if you don't have it. Here's a Mario Tennis. album. This came out pretty much the same time or a little bit earlier than the Mario Party 3 soundtrack. And you can tell they're pretty similar. Okay. This one just came in a disc. It was a bonus disc. Came as a soundtrack. Crash Bandicoot Entranced soundtrack. Whoops. It's okay, people. That's from Vivendi. Universal Interactive. And this is a random one. I bought a game cheat device called a Code Breaker, and for some reason it came with a soundtrack disc, and on here it has FFS Generation 1, FFS Generation 2, FFN Generation 3, whatever all that is. FFX. Oh, those are the track listings. Virtual Fighter, Gun Valkyrie, Resident Evil, Code Veronica. It's Unlock the Sound. And yeah, once again, not really sure what that was all about, but cool nonetheless. We have a Banjo-Kazooie soundtrack. I believe this one was available in the Nintendo Power magazine. Banjo-Tooie as well. Diddy Kong Racing. This this was released in Germany. And you also see I skipped buying the Yoshi's Story and Diddy Kong Racing ones because they were shape CDs, and those are actually really rare right now. But they didn't play in my CD player. There was a restriction, like on the box, like specially shaped CDs won't play in this CD player or whatever. I remember that was a problem, so I didn't want to spend money on them back then because I actually wanted to listen to music. This little bonus collector's CD is from Squaresoft and has a bunch of the video game music from that era: Xenogears, Bushido Blade 2, Brave Fencer Musashi, and Final Fantasy VIII. And that's a rare little bonus. It's a demo. Whoops, had a little bit of a low storage issue on the hard drive of the camera, but we're back. Okay, so I was right here. Sonic Adventure soundtrack. This one's sealed. This was actually given to me a while back to just to have. Someone was getting rid of it. So there you go. This one's still sealed too. This is the Nintendo Fusion Tour music sampler, and it has Story of the Year, My Chemical Romance, Letter Kills, Autopilot Off, and Anne Berlin. 5 tracks. And there's just a big Nintendo sticker on it. These stickers were given away at the event, I guess. This was exclusive to Best Buy. It's a 2004 soundtrack. And I've never listened to it. This is a Wipeout XL from PlayStation soundtrack. This is a compilation soundtrack of a bunch of different techno music from like Orbital, Prodigy, Chemical Brothers, Daft Punk, Future Sound of London, Fluke Left Field, Underworld, Sound Direct, and Photech. Because that's what the game featured. But it's interesting that they'd compile it that way. Final Fantasy IV, another one of my favorites. That's a pretty drab soundtrack for, there it is, but there you go. And then we have this group right here. This is the last group. Okay. This is the Zelda Collectible CD that came out with the Nintendo Collectibles. You could buy these in stores, and it has a 24-track grouping of select tracks from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This is the Ocarina of Time 3D soundtrack selection. There's 51 tracks on here. Not for resale, it was a Club Nintendo bonus for when you pre-ordered. See that there? Whoop. Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. There's 4 discs in here. And a little book. It has some scenes from the game, and I don't know what that's about. Maybe that's what is in Nobu Uematsu's pocket or something. Bunch of scenes from the game. Can't wait for the remix of this, or the remake of this. Wonder if they'll mess with the music or not. They probably will, to make it a AAA remake. The Final Fantasy IX soundtrack is a little bit different than most soundtracks in that it's meant to be held this way. This is 4 discs as well. It's a fantastic soundtrack. It has some sheet music in it for the Melodies of Life track that's popular in the game. And this is the same kind of thing. Scenes from the game. And some art from the game. And there you go. Alrighty. So another great one there. Then we have the Final Fantasy V soundtrack. That's when I was collecting all the Final Fantasy soundtracks. So let's see, I had 2 through 9. There's Final Fantasy 2. All sounds. There's 48 tracks. This is actually Final Fantasy 1 and 2. There's an arranged track, and then there's looks like 20 tracks of Final Fantasy, and the rest is Final Fantasy 2. So there you go. You had 1, 2, and obviously 3 didn't come over. I had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So almost a complete collection. But I doubt at the time that I knew Final Fantasy 3 in Japan was a separate game. Here's a rare one. This is a Japanese soundtrack for Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest was a game that was developed in America. I have my, yeah, because it says USA on there, Final Fantasy USA. So this is a Japanese soundtrack for that game, because it was released over there. Let me see if I can get this thing out. There's liner notes, and an interview in Japanese with some art on there. And that game was quite a deviation. So Final Fantasy Mystic Quest sound selections. Kingdom Hearts. Obviously a very odd game, but definitely some great music. Some of the best stuff to come out of Squaresoft. This is a 2-discer. And plenty of tracks there. This one is pretty unknown as it goes. I wonder if anyone knows this before I tell you what it is. It's the Secret of Evermore soundtrack. Now this was available through a Squaresoft catalog, I believe, that was released with some of their games. And it does have excellent music. And this is like the bad guy, and then the bottom is the dog, the wolf kind of dog that follows you around in the game. And it is one of the weirder games out there. And my friend and I played it because we thought it was the sequel to Secret of Mana, which a lot of people thought, but it wasn't. It's its own deal. It has 21 tracks, and some of them are orchestrated and some of them are the original game music. So, and the cover art's weird. The whole thing about it, the whole thing is weird. But there you go, Secret of Evermore. Chrono Trigger. It's almost a must. If you haven't played this game, do yourself a favor. This is a 3-disc soundtrack, and you can see the little art book here. It has the track notes and some art and a scene from the game and character art. And I made myself a little track list of my own, because I didn't read Japanese. So there you go, Chrono Trigger soundtrack. I also picked up the Chrono Cross soundtrack. It looks the same on both sides, pretty much. And I've never finished this game, unfortunately. I need to go back and do that one, or maybe it'll be remade. This is a 3-disc soundtrack. The book is huge, nondescript. You can kind of see what's going on here. There's just like a bunch of Japanese in here, so there's, you know, stuff I'll never know what it is. Here's another stellar soundtrack, the Final Fantasy Tactics soundtrack. And even if you didn't like the game, like I wasn't a big fan of the game, the music is fantastic. But I am just not a strategy game, the tactics game. I'm not that kind of gamer. And I found out through this series that it just, you know, it was too overwhelming, I think, to me. Xenogears. That was another one that was given to me. Told to play the game, never played the game. Definitely need to go back and play this one, because it is well known for being awesome. And the art, the booklet doesn't have anything but a track listing. So there's a couple more here I want to show you, and then we'll be done. This one is an oddity. So it's a sound selection, kind of The Legend of Zelda, from Zelda Box. And I'll show you. There's multiple versions of this, and this Zelda Box here came with 2 figures. And you open it up, and the soundtrack is right here. And it was also, it had a inside this part you could get to the figures and whatever. And then the back had a Wind Waker fan book. There was another one of these released that had more of a strategy guide attached to it as well. On the back here you can see some merchandise. They gave out a shield and sword as a contest, and then there was also this pencil tin and the Wind Waker bookmarks. The other version of this that I sold a while back had more merchandise in the back. And there's all kinds of stuff. I have scans on my website of that in the catalog section. You can see that. And so there's 2 versions of the Zelda box. And somehow I ended up with an extra one of these. I bet I bought it in a lot. So there's that. I'm not sure what's on this, but I bet it's selected by Nintendo Sound Staff. It's probably just Wind Waker music. Getting to the extremely rare, there's this Twilight Symphony soundtrack. I still have it sealed. This is from a group, ZREO, Zelda Reorchestrated. And there's 3 discs in here, and they remade and orchestrated the Twilight Symphony, or the Twilight Princess soundtrack. And it was a It wasn't a Kickstarter, I don't think, but it was something that you had to pay into to make it happen. And there was a bunch of people that did that, and then you got the soundtrack if you did enough. But yeah, very rare to actually have the physical. A lot of people got the digital download. The Paper Mario original soundtrack CD. This is a 2-disc set. There's 39 tracks on each disc, and it's an excellent soundtrack. This was only available through Nintendo Power, and you had to buy it. It was very limited when it released. And then my most rare soundtrack is this bad boy right here, Super Mario RPG, and it has 2 discs, and you can see it's one of those, one of these ones where it opens out like this. And the booklet, take a look at that. The booklet has some notes, and it folds out like this. And there's my son.
Dad?
What, buddy?
How are you?
There you go. So that's my rarest one. And I'll talk to you later. I gotta talk to my son.